the only show that's 3 dimensions away from John Wick fighting the Santa Claus from Violent Night and creating John Wick v Santa Claus, Dawn of the Multiverses of Assassins. I'm your host 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Violent Night, released in 2022. Violent Night is essentially the best way to describe it is kind of like Die Hard meets Home Alone with a little bit of the Tim Allen Santa Claus thrown in there. Like, it's about, like, on Christmas Eve, Santa Claus is making his rounds, he's giving up, he's at a bar drinking, and he's just giving up on, like, life. Not life, but basically being Santa. And so, basically, he's like, this is his final night. Meanwhile, this rich, uppity family are celebrating Christmas, that even though they don't like each other. And then, of course, terrorists take over their house and threaten to kill them. And Santa Claus just happens to be delivering presents there, and then he ends up having to defend off and kill these terrorists, so that way Christmas won't be ruined for them. And I will say, this movie I had a lot of fun with. I really loved this movie. Like, I was watching, I just wanted it to be a cool action. Like, I've heard from other YouTubers that this movie's not that good, or this movie is just, it's okay. But when I went into this movie, I was like, just please, I just want the action to be cool, the kills to be cool. And it was. Like, I was like, and I actually kind of enjoyed the story, like, you had David Harbour. The movie stars, of course, David Harbour as Santa Claus. If you haven't seen David Harbour, he was in Stranger Things, and he was in the 2019 Hellboy reboot. He is famous, for, being in Stranger Things as the sheriff. And so, him as Santa Claus, I was kind of worried because, I didn't know if he could pull this off, And so when I watched this movie, I'm like, he pulls it off amazingly. And, this is from, this Lionsgate, and this is also the producer of John Wick movies. So, of course, this does have the John Wick kind of style combat, and, I really, when I went to this movie, I was like, okay. I went to this movie, I was hoping I took my uncle to see this, and he's been dying to see this movie. He's like, this is his number one anticipated movie of the year. And so, I'll be happy to let you know he loved it. He said this was the best movie he's seen all year long. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you loved it that much. Me, I thought it was okay. Would I rewatch this again? Yes. But I do think that there was a lot of things I really liked about this movie. I really liked that, Santa Claus, it has that meaningful, Santa Claus is giving up, and it really shows you what we've become as Christmas, how it used to be about, giving gifts as, the thought, the meaning of it, why we celebrate Christmas, and then we've just become a consumer. There's a scene, a montage, where he's just delivering cash, because, it says cash, video games, cash, and I'm just like, of course, it makes sense, because, this is what everybody just wants, money and cash. They don't even want gifts anymore. The thought is you give a gift to somebody as a thoughtful gesture. You thought of them enough to give them something, and it kind of feels like this polar opposite of what it is now, where it's become okay, well, just give me this and we'll call it even, and that's not what it's supposed to be, and I really like that aspect that it explores. I wish it would have delved much, much deeper, but obviously this became... and this movie very much is a rip-off of Die Hard in a way, where it's terrorists on Christmas Eve take over this place, and, and there's only one man that can stop them, but it's fine. There even is a Die Hard reference where he's fighting, Santa Claus is reaching in a sleigh, and he's, throwing stuff at the bad guy, and he goes, Die Hard on Blu-ray, and throws it at his face. And, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen this movie. And I'll try to be vague as I can with this review, but there are some great scenes in this movie, and I really liked, the action, the violence in this movie is amazing. There is one moment where, he's just killing people, and you just see some violence, and you're just like, ooh, and I'm not gonna say what it is, but I'll just say, when he's in the shed, that's all I'm gonna say. He's in the shed, and there's even some references to Home Alone, the little girl's I've seen Home Alone, and then she does some Home Alone to some henchmen. And I really like that aspect of it, too. And I thought that was really fun. I really thought David Harbour was really strong as Santa. And I really kind of feel like, he has that, you feel like he is tired. I didn't just fall oh, this is David Harbour in a Santa Claus costume. Because, sometimes if you're in a movie and, you play a certain character, do you wear the costume, or does the costume wear you? And so I really think that he wore this costume. The costume did not wear him. And I really like that aspect of it. He did a good job as Santa Claus. John Leguizamo you know, they all have nicknames like Christmas nicknames. And I will say, him as Scrooge, you know, the leader Scrooge, he was really good. I really liked him, and you know, like he plays like the kind of Hans Gruber-esque role where he's like, you know, he hates Christmas. There's a reason why he hates Christmas, even though he's not like, you know, it's kind of cheesy because he's like, I hate Christmas. I'm gonna kill Santa Claus. You know, like it's cheesy in those moments, but it works though, I think. And so, you know, I do like those aspects of it. And there's even some funny humor in the movie. And you know, Beverly D'Angelo, who was in Christmas Vacation as Chevy Chase's wife, you know, she's in this movie. She's like the mom of the that runs the rich estate that, you know, the terrorists take over. She's like the, you know, the billionaire that owns the estate that the terrorist is trying to break in and steal money from her. And so I really like this aspect of it. And I like how it's like, you know, they're like, oh, well, we're rich and we have like a response team, an extraction team, and then, you know, there's spoilers that happen. And so I really like that aspect of it. And I really like that, you know, the kill's really cool. The one thing I don't like about this movie is that it feels like they're trying to shove two plots into this movie. Like, it feels like they're trying to do the Die Hard aspect. And then in the third act, when the little girl runs away, she becomes like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, and it becomes more like halfway Home Alone, halfway Die Hard, where we focus a good 20 minutes on her and Home Aloneing them. And I'm just like, this feels like two different movies now. Like, I'm watching two different movies. Like, I mean, it felt like I was watching, you know, first I felt like I was watching The Santa Claus. Then it felt like I was watching Die Hard. I would say 3 movies even. And now I feel like I'm watching Home Alone. You know, and I'm like, come on. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, you know, I just sitting there watching. I'm like, focus on this. Like, you know, focus on the Die Hard aspect. And don't focus on the Home Alone. And that's what I felt like. That was my big pet peeve. I'm like, it feels like 3 different movies in one plot. And I feel like they should have focused more on, like, spreading out the Die Hard-ish plot. Because I'm like, if you're going to be Die Hard, be Die Hard. Don't just be Home Alone. Don't be the Santa Claus. Just be one plot. Don't be 3 different plots. And that was my biggest pet peeve with the movie. And I thought sometimes, like, the family really didn't have much to do except they just sit there and be hostages. Like, I don't really know what the dad does. Like, you know, the dad, you know, the little girl's dad. I don't know really what he does. And there's really no reason, really too much of an explanation why, you know, like, they're leaving the mom, you know, and then he's taking the money. There's really no reason why. I don't understand that aspect. I don't even understand why why the terrorists even take over. I understand why they want the money, but, like, why does the spoilers hate them? Why does the, you know, spoiler, I'm just going to say it, minor spoiler. Why does the response team hate the woman? I was sitting there watching it going, that makes no sense whatsoever. I'm like, why do they hate her enough to, like, they just want the money and they're like, we don't care? Or did she do something to him? I mean, that never explained that. And I'm like, I kind of curious. And I really would like to have seen Mrs. Claus in the movie. I do like that they made him, like, you know, like a Viking in the old days, and that's like, and he killed so many people to where he became Santa because they repent. I like that aspect of it, but I just did not like that the 3 plots in one, and I feel like I don't understand enough to know what are the terrorist motivation. At least in Die Hard, you know why Hans Gruber did what he did. You knew what his motivations were. You know why he's doing it, and you know what he's going to do with it. This Scrooge, I don't understand what his motivation is. All I know is that he wants the money. Okay, why? Why is he doing this to her? You know, and just, it really doesn't understand. You know, I understand why he wants to kill Santa Claus because he hates Christmas. But I don't understand why he's doing this to Beverly D'Angelo. That's my biggest problem. I'm like, I don't understand his motivation. You know, so I can't really get behind him or against him because I don't understand his motivation. You know, I understand, you know, I don't even understand why the son wants to steal the money. You know, I did think the guy from Twilight, you know, who plays James in Twilight, I really think that, you know, he plays this douchey, he plays the daughter, the mom who runs the estate, her daughter's husband. And he is just thinking like, oh, he says, he does some stupid shit in the movie where he's like, oh, well, like, you know, if I could, you know, if I was just, you know, they have guns or else I could just go to them and take them. He's an actor, and he thinks he's the hot shit. And I'm just like, dude, they would kick your ass in a heartbeat. And then also, as a Christmas gift, he wraps up a movie pitch and shows her, like, the pitch. Like, there's a scene where one of the terrorists is like, you know, you can unwrap presents since we're gonna kill you. Probably you're not gonna make it to the night, so you can wrap presents. And he's watching him unwrap presents, and then one of the presents like, oh, let me go get my present. And he hands it to her, and he goes, it's a movie pitch. I'm just like, you're basically giving somebody a gift that they're gonna have to pay you for. I'm like, are you serious? Like, that's kind of shitty, dude. It's not really a present. And so I thought that made me laugh. God, I was laughing. I was like, and you know, there's some moments that really made me chuckle, and it made me really, you know, like, it's kind of funny. There's, you know, and it kind of feels like, you know, it does have like, is Santa Claus real or isn't he kind of vibe that plays in every single Christmas freaking movie. But I mean, it doesn't get annoying to where like most do. And I really did enjoy David Harbour. It kind of does, it's really much of a Die Hard ripoff, to where he's even talking to a person on a walkie-talkie throughout most of the movie, just like John McClane. And, you know, of course, you know, and then of course, you know, the villain of the movie is like this evil bad guy that, you know, there's an explosion at the end where they have to fight, and the bad guy gets imploded, you know, just shit like that, where it's like, this is very much a Die Hard ripoff. Although I do like that, you know, like Santa Claus's weapon of choice is a sledgehammer. Like, he had like this old hammer back in the old Viking days where he'd kill people, and he just wrecked some people, and I thought that was really clever and cool. I really enjoyed the storyline mostly. I did enjoy the kills and the action. I just felt like the plot was kind of weak. I wish they would have just improved the plot a little bit, because it felt like there were 3 different plots in one movie, and that's where it became annoying for me. Although I did enjoy this movie, and I definitely would recommend you watch it too. If I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it a solid B-.
Come on. Which one of you did that? Prancer? So unprofessional.